write this letter that's attributed to you to Chuck?
What letter?
A letter that is attributed to you that was written by Chuck Dean?
I can already tell you there's so much text on there. No, I didn't write that. Okay, well, that's a full press release. Tell me who you're with.
I'm Bob Campbell Kirk. I'm
I thought that was Ron Penn. Yes.
You did write that?
Yes.
Were you angry when you wrote it?
No, I'm not angry now. My feelings are hurt by it. But no, I'm not angry.
Mr. Collier.
I will say this. I'm a little, and Chuck's here, I believe, right? The April, I think I mentioned the February 16th meeting. Within 20 minutes of walking out of that meeting, Chuck called my executive counsel and knew all the details of the meeting. And I understand you guys have sources, and I would never want you to give up your sources. My problem with that is we discussed very sensitive law enforcement information in that meeting, and within 20 minutes, and maybe Chuck's a hell of a reporter, but within 20 minutes, Chuck had all the details of that meeting. So if I'm angry that someone broke the law and gave up law enforcement sensitive information. But I'm not, do I seem angry now? My feelings are hurt.
Do you think the governor is trying to protect someone, and if so, who?
I think it speaks for itself.
Yeah, because of the ongoing nature of this, I can't answer that one.
Would it be the people the investigations that were ended when you were terminated, or when you were reassigned, put on leave?
Bob, I would be guessing after that. I don't know.
Do you plan any legal action? Were you given benefits on your?
Oh, I haven't even been given the courtesy of a phone call or a text message. I learned from one of y'all's text messages, one of y'all's social medias.
Kenny?
It's so early right now to decide what exactly we're going to do. The main thing that we're looking at is to clear his name and to meet with the Attorney General's office, and if there's any confusion about it, we don't know what the charges are and anything about what they were supposedly accusing him of doing wrong, which led to the termination, or so they say. So we're looking at that.
But he serves as the pleasure of, so any type of termination action.
Well, without saying exactly, about this, because it's too early for me to know, but if you get fired, even if you're an employee at will, you can't fire somebody for cooperating with the grand jury.
In fact, it's a felony.
Yeah, and he was putting that, and if that's the motivation behind it, that would open up some doors. Again, it's just so early, all this came about the last couple of days, but there'll be something, keep your fingers short.
I apologize, I don't know your name.
Alan Blackman, the New York Times. Do you have any evidence or thought that the governor used the state aircraft improperly? You mentioned that. Did you ever know of him using GPS?
I don't have personal knowledge of that. However, complaints from his security staff and from his staff were levied. I did challenge a staff member and attempted to interview him over this, and he broke down. This was 2 years ago. He broke down.
What were the complaints about? What were the nature of those complaints?
Misuse of state aircraft.
Have you spoken to a federal investigator? Federal investigators? Has it been a state matter?
I'm not getting specifics who I've spoken to.
You mentioned that Rebecca mentioned a little bit of kind of power that you had never seen in your career. Could you give us some examples of what you're referring to?
Well, if you guys go back, and I'm trying to think of some of you cover the budget cuts when the individual agencies set out what the budget cuts were. That meeting was conducted with Rebecca Mason, and she helped every agency determine what our cuts and what our actions were going to be.
Did she order the parks closed or the?
Bill, I don't know if she ordered it. She worked on the. I can speak for the driver's license part because it was ours. She was deeply involved in that. Which, what's her title? I think senior political advisor or something. What's her title? Sorry, Kim.
Can you give us some specifics of the conversation, the recording? Was it an in-person conversation, a phone conversation? Do you hear both parties, one party? And can you give us a little bit more about what was said on that call?
Yeah, you see any reason? I mean, it's been printed. I guess I think John scooped everyone. He got it. I can say this unequivocally. There was no way to explain it as anything other than sexual or romantic in nature. Body parts were mentioned. And at one point, a statement was given, if we're going to do what we did yesterday, we need to lock the door.
Did you hear one end of the conversation or both?
There were two voices. I can distinctly, I can assure you that was Governor Robert Bentley's voice. The other was just a female.
Do you know whether it was Rebecca's?
I can't. I would, and at one point when I confronted the governor on this August 5th, he said, well, that could have been someone in my family. That's just not the case.
What are you saying, that he admitted? Did he admit a relationship?
Yes.
Did he admit saying something inappropriate?
Less than a month ago, the governor told me that he was still madly in love with Rebecca Mason, but he was a man of honor and wouldn't ask her to divorce her husband.
Can you respond to
That's
Stabler's denial of your charge that he found this sexually charged?
I think the easiest, I think the easiest answer, Chuck, is let's find Ray Lewis and ask Ray Lewis. Stan brought it to his supervisor's attention, and then Ray, as I was Ray's supervisor, he brought it to my attention. What I'd recommend is find Ray Lewis and ask Ray Lewis. He'll tell you the truth.
Do you feel that Rebecca Mason's relationship with the governor and vice versa got in the way of state business, and did it harm state business? Based on what you know.
It was just a level of influence. She yielded more influence than Seth Hammett did. I can tell you that.
Who made these recordings?
That was part of us looking into it. The governor, as most of you know, carries a security clearance. And one of the things that always concerns us is the potential for blackmail. Something was brought to my attention. I was concerned about that. Make sure someone was not surreptitiously recording the governor. That could be used to challenge the security clearance. Through our investigation, we quickly determined that it was a domestic situation, and it was done within the family. And my recommendation to the governor at that point was, it's obviously domestic in nature.
Did a member of the family give you the tape?
No, a member of the family emailed it to Chief Lewis, and then they were on the phone with Chief Lewis while it was played for me.
Was this his son?
There were several members of the family.
Several?
Who else knows about this? I mean, obviously these rumors have been out there for quite a while. A lot of people-
Everyone in the inner office of the governor, most everyone in the legislature.
And what would you say to people who do have direct knowledge about these events?
There's nothing I can say to them. I'll just repeat this to Diane Bentley, who I've also known for 15 years. She's the victim in this, and his sons are the victim in this. And these people, these non-politicos that the governor just walked in and fired, they're the victims. So if I say anything to anyone, it's to her, and I'm sorry. That's what I say to her.
Were you forced in some way to change or
No.
submit that affidavit?
Yeah, and I didn't mean to cut you off. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. In fact, the change in the affidavit was facilitated between my executive counsel and the AG's office, Mr. Hart. Matt and I never had a conversation about what was going to be changed in an affidavit. Matt Hart, who I know has the reputation of being a bulldog, I can tell you has been nothing but a gentleman to me through this investigation.
Do you have any kind of immunity agreement?
Absolutely not, no. I haven't done anything wrong. I think the only wrong that I've committed is not being a better friend to Diane Bentley and to Paul Bentley and the rest of his sons.
Were you ever asked to resign during these last few weeks and months, or were you ever asked to resign during your time of leading ALEA?
No, not until yesterday.
That was an option to resign, and Spencer chose not to.
Why did you not decide against it?
I haven't done anything wrong. I mean, would you resign from your job for not doing anything wrong? I mean, just the opposite. I did what my oath requires me to do. I have a duty. In fact, I have a duty not to follow an unlawful order. So I didn't do anything wrong. I mean, the governor would love nothing more for me to resign and go away. I didn't do anything wrong.
From that August 5th meeting, how often do you find yourself discussing the governor's relationship with Ms. Mason? But how often do you discuss it with them, or did it never come up again?
It came up again, not a lot. There were two significant conversations between the beginning of this year and now. around December 30th, Chuck, you wrote an end of the year story, and part of it was the situation. The governor called me in, I want to say it was December 29th, December 30th. You may remember when you wrote the story, Chuck. The governor received a text from a family member, and the text was, if you don't quit lying to these reporters, we're going to start telling the truth. And it came from a family member of the governor's. He showed it to me. He was upset. He wanted something done. I explained to the governor it was not a crime. They were not threatening him. They were not trying to extort money from him. I told him I felt it was a domestic situation. It was best to be handled within their family. Within a few weeks later, the governor called me back in. Miss Mason had received a hard copy letter. In the letter, it just basically said you should be ashamed of yourself for breaking up a family. That's a summary. I don't remember word for word. Again, I explained to the governor this is not a crime. They're not. No one's threatening you. No one's exploiting it. So it's not a crime.
Rebecca Caldwell Mason is paid out of what's the Dark Money Group. Do you have any knowledge of who puts money into that organization?
I don't. I do think there is some concern of mitigation dollars, federal mitigation dollars going into that, and that's just, I think one of you guys was talking about.
You mentioned that you and the governor have had a basically positive relationship for the term of the time you worked together. When did it become strained, and what issue kind of began to unravel the sweater, so to speak?
Well, if you go back to the state of the state, I mean, 2 cabinet members were mentioned and praised. I was one of them. So, I mean, the governor may say now he didn't think I was doing a good job, but at the state of the state, he said I was doing a good job. I mean, the relationship was fine. We tried not to talk about, he knew I didn't approve of Rebecca's situation. Well, listen, I knew.